Is it cinnamon?
Over because I don't know. I don't like it.
On Zoom.
Like, hi, world.
Get her good side.
Job.
All right. It says 7 o'clock on mine, so I'm going to get started. Okay, call the meeting to order. I'm going to do roll call first. Let's see, make sure I get this in order. I'm doing it side by side. Here we go. Okay. Terry Chavez. Trustee Jacobson.
Here.
Trustee Andrade Zuniga.
Present.
Trustee Griffin.
Present.
Oh, I did that backwards, and Trustee Land here. I did it all backwards. Don't worry. I know, because I've changed my mind right after the first one. So, all right, we're all present. All right, welcome everyone. Tonight we have Spanish interpreter Enrique Montalvo. For those who like to attend the meeting virtually in Spanish, that option is available. Enrique, would you please communicate that for us this evening? Thank you.
Buenas tardes, tenemos a nuestro intérprete de español para la reunión de esta noche. Para aquellos de ustedes que quieran asistir a la reunión en español, esta opción está disponible. Gracias.
Thank you. Okay. And that's created. Excellent. If you wish to view closed captions of this meeting, please view the meeting on the San Mateo Union High School District Board Meeting YouTube channel. The link to the YouTube channel can be found on our website. You may view the captions in English as we live stream our meeting tonight, and you may view the captions in a variety of other languages if you choose to watch after this meeting has ended. Viewers may request additional accommodations by calling area code 650-558-2201. For our deaf and hard of hearing community, we have a team of HANA Interpreting Services, and they will be interpreting our meeting this evening. We would like to ask that everyone speak clearer than I am and reasonable pace for our interpreters. Thank you. We're on to Pledge of Allegiance. Who'd like to do that? All right, Randall, go for it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So some report of actions taken in closed session. We had a special ed settlement in closed session of the board upon motion of Trustee Griffin and seconded by Trustee Andrade Zuniga. Move to approve 2 special education settlements with a vote of 5-0. Okay. Here is the public comment. This is a public meeting of the San Mateo Union High School District Board of Trustees. If you are joining us in person and wish to make a comment about our agenda item or during public comments section at the beginning of the agenda, please fill out one of these requests to address the board form and submit it to the secretary. This form should be given to the secretary before the agenda item begins. If you are joining us virtually, use the raised hand feature on the Zoom to be recognized. When invited to do so by the board president for each item on which you wish to comment, you'll be admitted to speak as a panelist during your public comment period. The board president will call on you. Please note that these comments are limited to 3 minutes. The board president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public comment depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. I'm going to turn to the next agenda item, which is governing board comments. Anyone have any comments they wish to make?
President Land.
Oh, is there, oh,
You
there's
have a-
one public? Oh, you're right. And it's not an agenda item. That's what I made. So we have one comment from Lucas, and I'm going to say your name wrong. Imboden. Come on up, Lucas. The dais, and click on, so you have the red.
Okay,
It's on already?
okay.
Is it?
Do I need to press anything? Okay.
I think you're fine.
My name is Lucas Imboden, and I'm a senior at Aragon High School. I'm here on behalf of a group of students that would like to ask that the San Mateo County Sheriff's Department be removed from the upcoming Career Expo. In the wake of Tyree Nichols' murder last month, it's important that we reevaluate the extent to which law enforcement is allowed to play a role in our lives, particularly the lives of our children and students. In October 2018, Chinedu Akobi, a mentally ill Black man, was jaywalking across El Camino Real unarmed when he was accosted by 5 San Mateo County deputies. He acted sporadically and was tased 7 times in the span of 4 minutes. A witness video shows Akobi in agony on the ground, repeatedly screaming, "What did I do? Somebody help me," as the deputies deployed taser after taser until eventually his heart stopped. The San Mateo District Attorney subsequently cleared the deputies involved. Setting aside murders, the sheriff's office is used to enforce numerous laws that discriminate against the poor and marginalized. They have no issue arresting a homeless person for simply occupying a public space. In fact, I have witnessed this a couple blocks from my house. This is an organization that has demonstrated its willingness to brutalize civilians with no consequence, despite claiming to stand for compassion and integrity on their website. The San Mateo Union High School District mission states, "We will continually identify, disrupt, and eliminate institutional biases and barriers to ensure that all students have the skills and knowledge to thrive physically, emotionally, and academically." It seems that by allowing an agency that continues to misrepresent itself as compassionate to recruit at the upcoming Career Expo, you are not ensuring that students have the knowledge to thrive unless you plan to require that the sheriff's office also disclose the brutality it perpetuates. I love a lot about this list of employers. I think students should explore numerous career paths and the possibility of joining a trade union without also being exposed to misinformation. I respectfully request that the sheriff's office be removed from the Career Expo in order to abide by our mission statement's values of equity and education, and out of respect for the victims of police brutality. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other comments?
No, President Land, I don't see any online
Okay.
either.
Okay. All right. So moving on, I'm going to go to governing board comments. Anyone have anything they want to say? Yes,
Yeah, okay. So
Leah?
mine's long if anybody wants to go before me. Go ahead. It's okay.
I'm going to actually, as chair, I'm going to call on Terry. Terry, you get to go first.
Thanks. Well, we're just so kind. We want to, okay. Mine's kind of long actually, but I wanted to mention some of the recent meetings I've attended. I'm not sure if I mentioned this last time, but on Saturday, February 11th, I attended the Millbrae City Council City Council member Maurice Goodman. He had an outreach to his community, part of Millbrae, which is his election area within Millbrae. But I was really impressed that city staff, Millbrae city staff was there, as well as about 40 residents. And they're all excited about the Mills ribbon cutting ceremony because I spoke about that. And so that was really great to meet some Millbrae folks because it's, it's within our district, of course. And then on a couple days later, on Monday, February 13th, I went to the school site council meeting at Cappuccino, and we discussed a little bit about the panorama study survey for the students. A lot of good information there. Thursday, February 16th, I attended Senator Josh Becker was in San Bruno for a community conversation. All of the San Bruno City Council was there. There was also a trustee from San Bruno Park School District, and it was a great chance to talk to residents there as well. There was about 50 in attendance. And then last Saturday, Supervisor David Canepa has monthly coffee chats throughout our county. This one was particularly centered around the topic of mental health and resources available within San Mateo County. And I would say there was at least 50 people there in attendance. I met a counselor from Aragon and from Burlingame. A couple of staff members were there. Miss Jillian Ma, who is, let's see here, my notes here. I don't have the best writing. She's the lead wellness counselor for Aragon. And then Miss Christina Cabrera is the lead mental health therapist in Burlingame High School. They were both in attendance. And it was a very energized conversation about mental health and what San Mateo County has, the resources available within San Mateo County. And I'd just like to encourage all of us to be active and attend meetings hosted by our senator or county supervisors, because many of our parents and community members attend those meetings too. And it was great to attend. and be part of that. And then last, I want to say on Tuesday, a couple days ago, I attended the Jefferson High School versus Mills High School at Mills. It's not the final playoff game. There's one tonight, and then there's going to be one Saturday if they win tonight. But that was very energizing, and Mills won. I left a minute before the game was over, but I knew that they were going to win. So go Mills for the girls CCS playoff, and I look forward to hearing that they're going to win tonight, hopefully, and then they'll play again on Saturday. So that's my report. A lot of meetings. I just wanted to recap a few of those. So thanks a lot.
Thank
Okay.
you. Leah?
Thank you. Yes, first I'd like to acknowledge that the land that we're on, that we currently occupy, is the traditional territory of the Ramaytush Ohlone people, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. I first wanted to say thank you to the student who had come and gave public comment. It's really important for our student body to come and express what they think should either be changed or is good about the district. And those are the type of relationships that we really need to foster along with the families. So thank you. This last week, I went to the adult school and to the Adult Education College and Career Educational Leadership Steering Committee meeting. And they were really good meetings to see, because we don't typically hear a lot about the adult school. And so for me, it was a great learning experience, and it just increases the advocacy that I feel I need to do. So it was really, really interesting. There's a lot of really great stuff going on and coming out of the adult school. One of the things that I took away from the meeting was the decision that we had made to reduce the credits needed to graduate has made a significant impact in the lives of certain students. They've been able to look forward to graduating and getting on with their career and their education, other than being stuck taking classes that really weren't necessary for their progress. So that was really neat to see. I also wanted to acknowledge that this month is Teen Dating Violence Prevention Month. And teen violence has been going up. And so we really need to make sure that we're providing the right education and information to our young folks, but most of all, safe spaces where they can talk about what's going on, and without judgment, without shame. So that's really important. February 19th was the Day of Remembrance for the Japanese American incarceration during World War II. That was signed by President Roosevelt. And, those were really dark days in our history. There are a lot of people in San Mateo who were some of the first folks here in San Mateo in the Japanese community. And it just kind of resonated with some of the people that I know, stories that I've heard personally. So I encourage folks to really learn about that and the influence of Japanese Americans on the peninsula. Let's see, I would also want to encourage people to join or to participate in the Oye conference, which is on March 25th, Saturday from 9 a.m. I believe to 3. Or 1 o'clock, I'm sorry. It is a conference for Latinx students, although it's not just for Latinx students, and their families to participate. It is free. So it's a great place for students to feel empowered and to receive information and to also network. We also had the Equity Advisory Committee last week. And what I really love about this group is that we are all there with a common goal, but it's also a really safe space. And so one of the things that was asked is why we've joined that group, and everybody pretty much said the same thing, that we want to see progress, and we want to support communities that are invisible and not represented. So it's a really great group. For those of you that would like to attend, let Julia Campino and everybody's welcome. Let's see. The San Mateo County Office of Education is hosting a foster youth mini series of trainings. I attended the first one my first one today about it was about suspensions and foster youth, and it was really interesting. So they'll provide some solutions and some strategies, as well as some anecdotal things that are good to hear. And so if people are interested in that, go to the San Mateo County Office of Ed website, and they have the information there. March 16th will be the unveiling of Freedom's Threshold at Gateway at Millbrae Station, 126 North Rollins Road. It's a piece of art created by Cheryl Derricott, and it's commemorating the life of Harriet Tubman. So that'll be really interesting for people to join. The North Peninsula chapter of the ACLU is always looking for volunteers, especially for our youth committee. So please join that if you're interested. COVID is not completely gone. So if people could continue to mask and stay home when they're sick and just be very diligent. We've had a lot of outbreaks. So please be mindful of your fellow school community members. Let's see, and that's it. I wanted to say thank you to our Spanish interpreter and our ASL interpreters that are great at providing access every meeting. And that if anybody would like to speak to me, I have office hours from 1 to 3 on Saturdays, and you can email me at landrade-zuniga@smuhsd.org. Thank you. That's it. Oh yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? No, pass. I'll do a quick one. First, Liha, thank you so much for bringing up about recognizing Japanese internment. My first boss and my second boss were both in Manzanar, and were part of that, and would tell stories about each other. And I totally remember the situation, that they would explain the hardships that they went through. And anyway, thank you for recognizing that. Just 2 announcements, quick ones. The first one is for board members, we have a Santa Clara County Office of Education or School Boards Association legislative breakfast on this weekend, February 25th at 8:30. I sent an email out to most of the trustees if you wanted to attend. I'll be there. And then on February 27th, some of you have already signed up, some of you can't make it, but that's okay. Our educational equity dinner for the San Mateo County School Boards Association event. I think we're going to learn a lot. We have great guest speakers to talk about equity and the issues that we're really digging in deeply with. And I think we're talking about a little bit tonight. So I'm really happy to see that. So those are my announcements. Last one. I want to thank Superintendent Booker for informing us about all the wind and the damages and the problems and the situations. I also wanted to thank staff for addressing it so quickly. I'm close to Burlingame and saw all the action and what happened. And I really appreciate all the work that every staff member has done to help with that. Okay, let's move on. Moving to, try to catch me up here where I'm at. Communications, is there any communications of the Board of Trustees? None? Okay. Recognition, we are going to do, I'm going to move to Randall about National Women's History Month.
Thank you. So tonight we bring to you a proclamation to recognize National Women's History Month for the month of March. So, you know, we are prioritizing centering student voice in the development of these proclamations. And we got some late but very valuable feedback from one of our students. And so the proclamation has been updated from the original proclamation that was posted to the agenda. Our students are our future, and we're ever so grateful for their input on these proclamations.
So National Women's History Month is March 1st through the 31st, 2023. Whereas Women's History Month began as a local celebration in Santa Rosa, California for 1 week, the Education Task Force of the Sonoma County Commission on the Status of Women first planned and executed a Women's History Week celebration in 1978. The organizers selected the week of March 8th to correspond with International Women's Day. Whereas in 1980, a consortium of women's groups and historians led by the National Women's History Project, now the National Women's History Alliance, successfully lobbied for the national recognition. In February 1980, President Carter issued the first presidential proclamation declaring the week of March 8th, 1980 as National Women's History Week. Whereas 6 years after Carter's proclamation, Congress, at the urging of the National Women's History Project, declared March of each year to be Women's History Month. Whereas the movement spread across the country as other communities initiated their own Women's History Month or History Week celebrations the following year. Whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background throughout our history have, despite hardship, exclusion, and discrimination, strived and sacrificed for equity and equality in communities across the country and have served as early leaders in the forefront of every major progressive social change movement. Whereas suffragists helped pass the 19th Amendment to the Constitution so that no American could be denied a voice on the basis of sex. Women fought to end slavery, advocate for civil rights, and pass the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and the Equal Rights Amendment originally approved by Congress in 1972. Generations of women continue to lead the fight for climate justice. And whereas standing on the shoulders of the women who came before them, today's women and girls continue to carry forward the mission of ensuring our daughters have the same opportunities as our sons. Women are leading the fight for justice, opportunity, and equality, and continue to lead groundbreaking civil rights movements for social justice and freedom. Whereas American women have played and continue to play critical political, economic, cultural, and social role in every sphere of the life by constituting a significant portion of the labor force, and American women have played a unique role throughout the history of the nation by providing the majority of the volunteer labor force of the nation. Whereas American women were particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions in our nation. Additionally, women have been instrumental in the fields of science, the arts, and athletics. And whereas the San Mateo Union High School District workforce is made up of 60% women, and our student body is made up of 48% women. Whereas San Mateo Union High School District and our communities also recognize the importance of understanding women's history and sharing it with our students, particularly with regard to honoring the significant and long-standing contributions women have made in this nation, in California, and in our local community. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the governing board of the San Mateo Union High School District that the district takes great pleasure in recognizing March 2023 as National Women's History Month and urges all citizens, staff, and students to join in celebrating the accomplishments and persistence of women everywhere. And I'd like to take a moment to thank Laura Chalkley, who runs our communications program, and the students that supported in the development of this proclamation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nicely read. Any entertaining a motion for the?
I'd like to make the motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Motion made by trustee Chavez, seconded by trustee Griffin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
But I thought trustee Zuniga seconded it.
I got you first.
No,
I
no,
heard
I
you.
think I made the motion. I thought trustee Zuniga seconded, but it's okay.
Oh, wait, so who did I motion in second? Sorry.
You said trustee Chavez and then seconded by trustee Griffin.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I just didn't
It's
hear it.
okay.
Whatever. Okay, sorry. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, let's move on. Thank you. All right, regular reports, report of the superintendent.
I'm sorry, President Land, consent agenda?
Oh, my glasses. I don't have my glasses on. I got them.
Oh,
All right, consent agenda. Anyone want to motion, second, remove anything from the agenda, consent agenda?
I'll move adoption.
Motion made by trustee Griffin to approve the consent agenda,
I'll second that.
seconded by trustee Chavez. Any questions? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried 5-0. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Okay, Superintendent Booker, your report.
Thank you. Just very quickly, kind of piggybacking on what President Land mentioned, it's been a big week. High winds brought down trees at Aragon and Washington Park adjacent to Burlingame High School. Power outages at Peninsula High School and our maintenance and operations building over on Hinckley. And in all that, I want to extend my gratitude to all of our facility managers, our SPOEs, our principals, assistant principals, maintenance, groundskeeping, operations staff, communications department, and all of our site educators. We had to move traffic around and there are streets blocked off and making sure and ensuring student and educator safety. So this is just another example of phenomenal teamwork across our district and such a can-do spirit. And so I really appreciate everyone's efforts around this week. So thank you. Excellent.
Thank you. Report of DTA.
We have Miss Rachel Lauderdale online.
All right.
Hello, President Land, Board of Trustees, district leadership, and community members. It's good to see you all again. We're in an exciting and exhausting point in the school year. This week, we finished winter sports CCS competitions, the celebration of Black History Month, and we had our last day off before spring break. Tonight, you are approving personnel actions for our co-curricular activity leaders. Our sport coaches, music, drama, dance, and activities directors work tirelessly to provide leadership and guidance to our students. They work countless hours for very little compensation so that students can find passion and purpose outside of the classroom. They help build our school culture and community. We want to thank our classified and certificated siblings who have dedicated their time, energy, and love for the benefit of our students and community. As an update, our Social Justice and Equity Committee meets the second Wednesday of every month to discuss equity issues across the district. This year, we have focused most of our energy on investigating the district's hiring processes. We are looking forward to working in collaboration with Dr. Black and the Human Resources Department to continue to improve the hiring of highly qualified and diverse educators that align with our diverse student bodies. Together, we hope to think creatively about how to retain our educators and support them through our journey in our district. We appreciate the openness to work with our committee and look forward to continuing our strong relationship. Lastly, I look forward to hearing from Marlo, Sabby, and Julia about our January professional development days. Personally, I found the district organized day to be highly engaging and effective. It was really nice to be back in person learning with and from each other. I want to give a special shout out to the panel of educators that bravely told their stories to a room full of other educators. Venus, Dan, Tiffany, and Anne-Marie's stories and experiences were inspiring and uplifting. There was a buzz of inspiration and positivity from our members from all the different sessions. As I walked around at lunch, I heard conversations grounded in equity, student voice, and love. It was like a breath of fresh air. Generally, people felt like they walked away with ideas that they could immediately use in their classes. That's not an easy accomplishment, and we really appreciate the thoughtfulness and intentionality of the organizers. Thank you so much and have a great night.
Thank you. Well said. Okay, representative from the CSEA.
We have no one representing this evening.
Okay, adult school.
We have no one representing this evening.
Okay, well, that just move right along. Okay, so getting to our special reports, the professional learning feedback, I'm going to hand it over to Randall.
So thank you very much. This evening, we have a couple of our staff members who ran our January professional learning days. And I have to just give a little editorial here. Just so encouraging, so unbelievable. And this is a tremendous investment by the district. It's 2 days off from school where we keep kids home. We bring all staff together. If you think of 2 days worth of salary and all of that it takes to put these days on, this is a tremendous investment in professional learning for educators for the sake of our students. So I thought it would be important to have Sabby and Marlo come on up and give an overview of all the exciting things that happened over those 2 days. And they've exceeded my expectations on this presentation. So I just want to say big thanks to the two of you and all the hard work. I know that these days, they don't just happen, happenstance or coincidental. It's just a tremendous amount of work that goes on. So I just want to extend my thanks for a really powerful 2 days of professional learning. So with that, I'm going to hand it off. Thanks.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Greetings, Superintendent Booker, excuse my voice, Cabinet Superintendents, Board of Trustees, especially the 2 new faces that I see here. Hi. My name is Marlo Bagsick. I am the District PD Coordinator, and I'm delighted to share with you some of the overview for our District PD days that we just had here on January. So January 30th and January 31st were days that we were finally able to meet in person and engage in professional learning in person, because the past 2 years, as you know, COVID has impacted that. But January 30th was a day for all teachers, certificated staff, and administrators to meet and gather at Cappuccino High School. And on January 31st, certificated engaged in their own professional learning at their sites with their site teams. The theme of these days was for us to continue our anti-racist school and transformational journey. Sorry. But specifically by re-engaging with our whys as educators. Why do we continue to educate our children? And how do we reimagine what it means to provide all students with equitable access to quality education? During our January 30th day, when we all convened at Cappuccino, we opened a day with a welcome message from our PD team and our very own Superintendent Booker. Thank you for doing that. This was followed by Joe Truss and Shane Saphir providing an overview of our anti-racist school transformation journey from the onset that we started at 2020 and 2021. They built connections and through lines to our professional learning journey through this year. And then they also hosted a Kiva panel with teachers represented from Mills, Cappuccino, Peninsula High School, and Hillsdale High School, who all spoke about the ways in which professional learning has impacted their classrooms and the students that they serve. Following the welcome and the opening, participants had the opportunity to engage in 2 of 12 90-minute sessions that you see listed here on the right side in connection to our anti-racist school and community transformation work. Each of these offerings were categorized as destinations because when you're on a journey, you visit destinations. The destination curriculum, destination awareness, destination relationships, and destination equity. We had 409 certificated attendees that day as well. But digging deeper into the sessions that were offered, they were directly connected to our equity board policy. And connections to different aspects outlined, as you can see here. The influence of race and culture on one's personal and professional attitudes and behavior, to assessing the curriculum that makes more inclusive and reflective to all students' lived experiences, to identifying anti-racist resources in and outside of the classroom, learning restorative justice practices, and then also adopting anti-racist curriculum within the classrooms. But in addition to the alignment to our racial equity board policy, these workshops provided more in-depth exploration of themes that our PD team already offers on our monthly Friday afternoons. These topics that are covered are equitable assessment, centering student voice, supporting multilingual language learners, universal design for learning, and complex instruction. But let's take a look at what our participants had to say when asked in an evaluation feedback form about the overall structure of January 30th and how relevant and helpful it was to their direct practice. An overwhelming 87% rated it a 4 or higher, which was really, really great to see on this day. When we take a deeper dive and more closer look at the session feedback in terms of what they chose and asked them about their relevance to their practice and combined all the responses, 510 out of 510, 81% rated 4 or better. And just hearing Rachel talk about that really confirmed and validated that and makes me feel warm. I actually really got emotional hearing that because this day was a day to serve teachers and fill their professional buckets. So I'm glad that it was received that way. But to give voice to some of the quantitative data, We received an overwhelming amount of qualitative feedback, from gratitude around having choice to high quality expertise, hearing from our own Superintendent Booker, hearing from teacher panelists, and centering of student voice. Some comments here. Teacher participant says, teacher panel was excellent. Great to hear realistic and relatable and thought-provoking experiences from classroom teachers. Another participant said, it seemed like the presenters were really experienced in what they shared. The choices were varied and thoughtful. If someone went home without new ideas, they came with the wrong attitude. There seemed to be something for everyone. Thank you so much for those that planned the day. It was a really well organized and planned. So we're really super glad to hear that our teachers were able to find value in multiple ways. And now to discuss celebrations, challenges, and next steps, I'll pass it to the manager of teacher induction and professional learning, Sabby Hopkins.
Thank you so much, Marlo, and good evening, members of the board. So there's so much to celebrate about this day. The first thing that we want to celebrate is this was the first time all of our certificated were able to be together to do professional learning across the district since February of 2020. And the opportunity for people to connect with one another and collaborate with one another, like the love and the appreciation, the community building was felt throughout the entire day. This was also a community effort. Our teacher leaders and our administrators volunteered their time to come together to really ensure and minimize the impact that we had on our classified personnel so that they could attend their professional development at San Mateo High School. Participants across experience levels and content areas all had really positive feedback about the day. And in their open comments, they cited things like how relevant the workshops were to their practices and how even content areas that traditionally don't feel represented in PD, like our CTE and VAPA teachers, felt like there was something really worthwhile for them in this design. We also want to celebrate that we took a moment to center teacher voice and choice through this experience. We really want to honor and thank the teachers who are on our Teacher Kiva panel, who really got an opportunity to reflect publicly about their anti-racist school and community transformation journey and how that's impacted their practice. Finally, we were finally able to really dive in and offer professional learning that's in alignment with our Racial Equity Board policy, mission, and vision statements. So there are still challenges that we need to acknowledge as we work on the professional learning. The first challenge is that we know we need to continue to work to engage a higher percentage of our certificated community in these PD days. We had 74% attendance across the 2 days, which is approaching pre-COVID levels of attendance, but we still want to acknowledge there's 25% of our teachers who aren't attending these days, and we need to spend some time understanding what does it look like to meet these teachers' professional learning needs moving forward. We also know that a one-day PD event is not what shifts practice. We need to invest in structures that look at how do we sustain professional learning over time, and how do we ensure that teachers are actually implementing these practices in their classroom. We see this working in future alignment with the instructional framework as it is developed. The instructional framework is going to outline the classroom expectations, which are a reflection of the values that we have when we look at our anti-racist school and community transformation. When we're aligning our PD to the instructional framework, we know we're going to need to take a close look to refine and tune what that professional development format looks like to really dive in and make sure we're getting at the issues of implementation and sustaining shifts in practice. So some surprises. This was one of the smoothest district PD events that we have ever put together. And I need to just publicly acknowledge the Cappuccino High School's facilities team and admin team for all of the work they did in advance of the event, coordinating with Marlo and myself to make this happen. I also want to acknowledge that we had district administrators and teacher leaders volunteering their time during the day to make sure everything went smoothly. Another big surprise was that COVID did not have as large of an impact as it could have. All of our presenters showed up well and healthy, and it was an amazing day. We didn't have to use any of our plans B or C. Many of our participants also expressed a deep appreciation for being at Cappuccino High School. We've never hosted this event at Cappuccino. It is a beautiful campus, and it was a gorgeous day. Finally, teachers were so grateful to have an opportunity to collaborate with peers from different school sites. When I reflected on that, I realized they haven't had a chance to do this for 2 years. So to connect with teachers from the same content areas, but at different school sites, to be able to connect with new faces and reestablish old relationships was a really powerful part of our community building. I also want to acknowledge that our site PD coordinators did a phenomenal job creating their own site-based PD on Tuesday, January 31st. And they were charged with an agenda that was aligned to the anti-racist school community transformation work. So some of the things that we saw across the school sites, we saw school sites holding their own teacher discussion panels. Some of them had student discussion panels and student presentations. We even saw student work analysis through the lens of the ethnic studies tenets and anti-racist teaching rubric. Some school sites spent some time going deeply into restorative justice practices in the classroom. Others were aligning to graduate profiles, and some of our school sites began their WA self-study process. So next steps for our PD team. We know we need to identify the core learning themes that will support the shifts in practice moving forward. And those learning themes must be aligned to our instructional framework. We need to continue to look at what it means to provide agency and choice for our experienced teachers so they continue to find value in professional learning. We also need to identify high-quality presenters who have the expertise to guide certificated and shifting practices aligned to the framework. But we also have to invest in developing the capacity of our instructional leaders in order to sustain the work in these key professional learning areas. I just want to take a moment to personally thank Marlo Bagsick, because this is his first time doing this as a PD coordinator. And his vision and his groundwork was instrumental in bringing forth the providers that we had for the day. And I don't think anyone in this room knows better than I do what that entails. So a personal appreciation for Marlo. Thank you. And thank you, board, for taking a moment to hear about our PD day. We really appreciate you.
Thank you. I'm going to open it up. Any questions, comments, thoughts that you'd like to share? Okay, Bob, you get to go first.
Thank you for the presentation. Sorry I missed it. It sounded like it was really engaging. One of the questions really had to do with the participation rate. And I don't know that we need to encourage you, because I think, you're on board, but what ideas do you have to increase the level of participation, things that might work and get people out?
I think as we're moving into a post-COVID world, the reasons for people not attending PD may have changed. And so the first thing that we're doing, and Marlo sent out a survey this week, is we want to anonymously tap the folks who didn't attend to better understand why they felt like they weren't able to attend. And we're going to use it as a sort of our baseline moving forward in thinking about what does it look like to meet the needs of teachers who sort of fall into these buckets of concern. The other thing is, we know we need to work at promoting that professional development has changed, what it looks like, what it feels like. We suspect that some of the reasons folks may not be engaging is that they may have experienced professional learning that didn't work for them in the past. And we need to communicate how our vision is different and how we're doing our best to differentiate and meet people's needs.
That kind of ties into the slide you had about next steps. And you're talking about providing agency and choice for experienced teachers. I imagine experienced teachers who have a number of years probably have heard everything they want to hear, and probably some things they didn't want to hear during professional development. And I think those are probably the hardest people to convert to, to bring into the fold about the benefits of professional development. Is that the case or is that not the case?
We don't know yet. We'll see what the survey results tell us for sure. I think that it's a combination. I mean, I know a lot of very experienced educators who are still very passionate about investing in their personal growth and professional learning. So I wouldn't say that would apply to everyone, but I do know experienced educators have had their share of both good and maybe not great PD. And so it would be wonderful to hear from them and their perspectives and thinking about what does it look like to change the experience for them.
Because in that also, I looked and there was a very small sliver of people who actually scored under 4. And I was just curious, if you slice the pie, who are, what demographic does that represent in terms of years of experience or campus or anything that might benefit going forward?
Yeah, that'll be good information for us to look at. And I think we might be taking a look at that section of the survey data and also take a look at the responses we're seeing in sort of I would call it the non-attendance group, and see if there's some similarities there in terms of like, how are we meeting these individuals' needs in terms of professional learning?
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Jennifer?
Well, I just want to say that I did attend the general session and one of the breakout sessions. So I was really glad to have that experience because I never done that before and I wanted to get a baseline and just know what it's like. And I was really impressed with the overall presentation and the organization and everything that went into it. And the only complaint I had really was that the small session that I went to before lunch, the classroom was freezing. And I was like, if this is what the kids have to sit in, how can they learn in here? This is cold. But
welcome to education. Sorry. Just happens all the time. It's sad.
Yeah. So like Bob was saying, I'm also really curious to see what you find about the teachers who didn't attend, and I'm also always kind of, I loved hearing the feedback. And in fact, some of the teachers that I talked to and sat next to were like, this is great. This is like one of the best. They've had a lot of PDs in the past that I didn't feel like were helpful. This one was really good. So that's good to hear. I'm always interested to know what, if any, critical feedback that you got was. Did you get any
constructive critical feedback?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. People who marked less than 4s.
The critical feedback mostly comes, I think it surfaces a bit in like where we're identifying next steps. It would be individuals who want to know what's next. This was a great PD, and how are we going to keep this work moving forward? There were, as always, in some of the, critical feedback pieces, as you mentioned, room is cold, or, some logistic things. However, I don't know how else to emphasize how unusual it is to have so many responses at a 4 or 5. That is sort of, it speaks a lot to our putting our ears to the ground and really trying to deeply understand where teachers want to shift their practice. So the critical feedback is really folks reflecting on, I felt good about the learning. I feel good about what I want to try in my practice, but how will you support me as a teacher moving forward? Or what does implementation look like? Or how do we make sure that we continue professional learning that continues to be this profound and changing?
Okay. Just one more question. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we've had kind of the last few years have been themed around the anti-racist transformation. Is that right?
Well, 2020 and 2021 was themed around how do we do virtual instruction.
Okay.
So
integration of technology. Yeah, I remember.
I would
so
call that
different. Okay.
on demand, in the moment PD every day of every week.
Okay.
So it was a very different focus. And as we emerged from school closure and in reflection around the 2020 grand jury report, there was sort of a call to what does it look like for us to commit as an organization to changing the experiences for our most marginalized students. And when we looked at the following year, our first year working towards our anti-racist school community transformation journey, we knew an initial investment needed to be made in building common language and fluency about what do these terms mean? How is this connected to education? Because if you don't have a common shared language that you can use in conversation with your peers, it becomes difficult to build and shift moving forward because you're not necessarily talking about the same things. And so then that is what led into this year. So we built some common language, we established some fluency, and this year has really been about, I think, what a lot of teachers were asking for last year, which is I'm beginning to understand, but I need to know how. How do I shift my practice? What are some of the practical strategies that I can implement? What do I need to do in my classroom with my students?
Thanks.
Sure.
Okay, anyone else?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Well, first I wanted to say, this is great stuff. I'm really excited. I want to go to every PD day. Next time I'm going to definitely come because I'm really bummed that I had missed this one. So out of all of the stuff, who specifically gets to go to this, who got to go to that one? Who is missing and I guess why? But in terms of, I guess, getting something like this maybe done for even students, like how do we translate or not translate, but transfer like this type? I know they're getting it with their instruction and stuff like that, but as an actual like almost PD day for the students, it'd be kind of neat to do something like that. So yeah, so one, what folks were not included, and then second, what do you think about including kids, including students?
Riley, do you want to take that?
In terms of who wasn't included in that specific day, we did have our certificated counselors here at the Mustang Room doing their own specific anti-racist training with hatching results. So they weren't part of the bigger day at Cappuccino. We also had Classified hosting their own, which also was themed around the same anti-racist school and transformation journey at San Mateo High School. And then your other part of your question is, what do I think about including chip?
And how
This
and
is
how-
absolutely part
uh-huh.
of them. This is why we're doing what we're doing, to hopefully influence and encourage and uplift and center the voices that have been historically marginalized, made invisible, not heard. And so thinking about the possibility of that happening, I would be 100% for that, because if that's not what we're doing it for, then what are we doing this for?
Thank you.
Thank you. Terry, did you want to?
Thank you. Hey, that's not funny. I'm just kidding. I want to thank you both for the presentation. It was excellent. I'm new to this board, but I was on a prior board for 4 years, and I used to hear a mixed bag of the PD day and what teachers thought, or classified staff thought as well. Sometimes it was a person would say excellent. Sometimes a person would say, oh, I thought it was a waste of time. But hearing the over 81% rated, what is it, above a 4? I mean, that's excellent, right? I mean, and just seeing the bubble here that says this is the best PD day I've ever gone to in my 10 years here. I mean, it's just looks like it was well done. And I think if I'm not mistaken, you probably reached out to some of the staff and said, what would you like to see in the PD day? And I think that always helps get everybody starting off on the right foot, positive movement. I was just wondering if you could reiterate, where was the classified, and I also agree with you, Trustee Zuniga, I want to attend the next PD day. Where was the classified, their PD day was on a different site as well? Is that right?
It was being hosted here in San Mateo High School.
Okay.
Yes.
And then there's
Trustee
no,
Chavez, also
Oh.
at our next board meeting,
Yeah.
we're going to have we're going to do a presentation on the classified professional learning.
took it from me. I was going to ask if there was a
There we
highlight of
go.
that.
More to come.
mind reader over there, but thank you again for the presentation. Excellent. This is great news that most everybody attended and above 80% rating. I think that's excellent. Thank you for your hard work on this.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I'm just going to say I'm extremely jealous that I did not get to go to this. Being employed,
Jealous.
being a principal in another district, I don't get to do this, and I'm always busy, so I never get to take a day like this to see those 2 days and the site. I love that you brought up both the site highlights and the highlights that we did at the district level. I am really jealous because it sounds like you did such a great job of offering options, to really thinking about how in different ways. I mean, I looked at the choices of the different options that teachers could go to, and I just was so impressed with the diversity of choices and which way would I want to go versus, and it's a shame that you only get to do 2 sessions, because there's like 4 that you want to go to. I think for me, the biggest thing that you said was about the challenges. Because I think the answer is there for such a great success in that 1 day or the 2-day PD. How do you transform that into ongoing? As the research is showing, a one-shot deal is not what's going to make it happen. What's going to happen is take that great one shot and transform it over time to bring it. Yeah, exactly. Build that momentum. So I'm really glad that you included that as part, because it's sustain and implement. I mean, those are the key phrases that I took from that. And you're absolutely right. It's like, how do we, as a district, be able to sustain this idea of these great thoughts of what they learned with the voice and choice, and then bring it into the implementation into the classroom so that it could be realized in the classroom with the students and what's happening with the students. So I guess that is the biggest challenge that hopefully you get to. And I don't have a question about it because I know you guys are thinking about it, but love you to come back and say, hey, what's going on? What are we doing? And how are we transforming? And where are we sustaining and implementing? So I just want to say it was outstanding. It was a great presentation. I really can see that there was real value into this. And I think, as you said at the very beginning, it seems like this is a transformational experience. And I think building off of this is only going to make it even more effective in time. So kudos to both of you and everyone who organized and helped with this. Alex is at UCLA, so I just wanted to say she was Miss Hopkins was my daughter's teacher, and I was just had to share that, and I was like totally forgotten. I was like, oh my God, I know you now. So I went through a little like oops in my head. So I want to apologize, but I'm very proud of her, and thank you so much for everything that you guys both do. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
All right.
You're very welcome.
Sure.
Talking.
Absolutely.
Okay, let me see if I remember both of these. Okay, so do you survey the teachers before, like when in your planning stages, to find out what it is that they want, to the topics that they want to learn about, that they feel they need?
Well, I think from previous year's data, from last year, we had an all one-stop experience. So after feedback from that, we heard a lot of we want choice and agency in how we enter this journey, and recognizing that this journey is super complex because you don't start just one place. So that's why it really went into the expertise and the different domains, right? Like when you look at the different destinations that they had to choose from curriculum to awareness, the relationships and equity, I think all teachers could speak and identify with one of those domains, and then had been given them, we were able to offer them some choice around where do they want to start on that journey.
Well, it sounds like they really appreciated that. The other question I had is, do the teachers have the opportunity to dialogue with each other about their best practices or about challenges that they see in the classroom and how other people that have similar challenges deal with it? Is there room for them to kind of dialogue about that?
Are you asking about that specific day or just in general, like in the professional world?
Both.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to be a teacher. So I would think that if I were a teacher, I would like to talk with other teachers and see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think like I individually talked to each one of those, our providers, and made sure to incorporate that this is what we're asking for is something highly collaborative, not just a teach in information dump. We really wanted it to be collaborative. So every one of these sessions were offered opportunities for other educators to collaborate with people across the district. And then also everywhere throughout the year too.
Okay, and then just outside of the PD day, I guess maybe it's not relevant, but
PLCs?
yeah.
So outside of the PD day, all school sites, this is supported by the instructional schedule. There is time on Wednesdays and Friday afternoons, either for content area like teams to come together. We call them PLCs to collaborate on their curriculum and on student work. Sometimes, and school sites also use that time for like site meetings and department meetings as well. But on average, most school sites set aside a minimum of 2 of those afternoons a week for PLCs to come together and do their collaboration and discussion.
Oh, good.
I know that one thing we know I think pre-pandemic, we were trying to grow was this idea of providing opportunities for interdistrict collaboration between some of these content areas. And I think when we're looking at and having some excitement about the instructional framework, maybe reimagining what those opportunities look like as well, so that colleagues within a school site and across school sites are learning from each other about better practices in the classrooms.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, looks like thank you so much. You
Thank
guys were
you.
awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Great work.
All right. Moving on in the agenda, we are at Human Resources Personnel Consent Agenda. Kirk?
Yes, the first consent agenda contains 6 items, the personnel actions, and 5 other items. One is the recruitment incentive for teachers moving here from outside of the Bay Area. It would be the 2nd year for that incentive. And then a memorandum of understanding with the Alder Graduate School that has a teacher residency program. The holiday schedule for management and classified 12-month employees. A 2nd year with our Latinos for Education organization agreement. And then the same thing for our another year MOU agreement with University of Berkeley, the University of California at Berkeley, that provides direct coaching for our administrators and managers.
Questions, comments, motion?
I'll move adoption.
Motion by trustee Griffin, seconded by trustee Andrade Zuniga for personnel consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried 5-0. Moving on, human resources, non-personnel consent items.
Yes, the personnel actions addendum, we have one recognition. Carolyn Tiziani, a PE teacher at Mills High School, resigned January 13th, 2023. She moved up to Marin County and has a job up there. So she's been with the district for 15 years.
Thank you. Do we need a motion? We need a
For
motion.
the personnel action.
Yeah, for the addendum. A motion?
I'll
Anyone?
move.
Okay, motion by trustee Andrade Zuniga. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by trustee Chavez. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried 5-0. Moving to board operations. Is there anything on board operations?
No, there's
You
a
have
number
more
2 under
items.
human resources, the sabbaticals.
Okay. I gotta. No, it wasn't on the. I had to switch papers. Okay, sorry, we are at board operations review and discuss the.
No, sabbatical, S2.
Sabbatical.
Oh, got it. That wasn't on my original one, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Sure. Okay. So as outlined in our collective bargaining agreement, the district convened a sabbatical committee this year because we received a sabbatical proposal from a Mills High School teacher, Luis Galdana Torres, and the proposal would be for the 2024 school year. The sabbatical committee, that's made up of 2 teachers, a department head, and 2 administrators, approved the recommendation to go to the board. Sabbaticals are often used for teachers to earn additional certifications or college units. However, some are designed as projects, and that's what this one would be. This proposed sabbatical is 3 pages in length, but in brief, it describes the intended outcomes as helping with retention of diverse staff, incorporating relevant curriculum, and benefiting students arriving from other countries. The purpose of the sabbatical is to get to know and understand our Latino student population. If approved, the sabbatical is approved, Mr. Torres would receive 50% of his salary and benefits during the 23-24 school year. He tends to visit different countries. The itinerary includes Brazil in June and July, Honduras in August and September, El Salvador in October and November, Guatemala in February, December to February, and Mexico for March and through May. For historical content, the last approved sabbatical in the district was in 2004-05, the school year 4-5. So the district's asked the board to approve or deny this sabbatical proposal.
If there's, oh, sorry, go ahead. You're gonna say something.
I'm open for discussion
I
or,
have a-
I have a question.
there we go.
Did you say that that there was a committee that met to discuss this?
Yes, the sabbatical committees in the collective bargaining agreement, it's made up of 5 individuals, 2 teachers, 1 department head, and 2 administrators.
And they recommended that we approve it or?
They recommend that the proposal go to the board for approval or denial.
Okay,
No, they don't have the power of approval. They just have the
Right.
power of recommending it. Yeah, because
They
in,
do.
you mean they could have denied it and said it
Yes,
doesn't
and-
come here?
in the
Right.
contract, there's a bunch of, because in years past, and maybe Bob remembers this way back, there used to be several sabbaticals that were submitted, and you can only have so many per
Mhm.
school year for department and for school, and they have to be tied to the goals, and some, weren't district goals.
Mhm.
So some were routinely denied because they were either in conflict with the numbers or they didn't meet the requirements. This year, there was just one, and it wasn't denied at that level. No, because they can't approve it. They can only send it on to the board for approval. It's a recommending
It's
committee.
our responsibility.
It's our,
Right.
yes. perfect.
Mhm. Can
I get,
oh,
Leah,
go ahead.
I'm going to call on Leah.
Thank you. I have personally seen this particular teacher's work, and I strongly believe that they would do something like this to be able to understand the students a little bit better. So if they're at the point when we're ready for approval, I would move to approve this.
Terry, did you have something? Okay. Anyone else?
Well, the goals of the sabbatical are really, I think they would benefit the district. And I could see it would benefit education in general and the students and everybody, but and I'm not disagreeing in terms of the proposal. There's a lot of work to do in a very short time because this is going to take institutional type change and not just visiting a country and meeting a few people, or you'd have to go from top down to really make connections and do things. But I certainly applaud the intention here. So, and I'd be interested in seeing, and when we get a report, or the district gets a report, correct?
If the sabbatical is approved, that's part of the requirements.
Yeah, I'd like to see them present.
And
on
we
this,
have
yeah.
access to the report. We
Sure.
will have.
Oh, yes.
Or could we ask for them to come to a board meeting
Yes,
and present
yes.
their findings and their learning?
Or you could attend the one that will be put on for the staff, either way.
so I just want to have a clarifying question. So to trustee Jacobson's point, there was a committee that met regarding the sabbatical request. And they didn't deny it, but it's obviously the board needs to approve it or deny it. But they're not recommending approval. They're not denying it, but they're saying, here, board, we want to see, we want to kick it.
They're
you could-
recommending it for
Right, to
board
approve it,
approval.
Okay,
But the board
okay,
has,
okay.
sure, but the board has the authority to approve or
Right,
not.
right.
Mhm.
But yes, that's when they recommend it, they're recommending to
Oh, they're recommending for approval. That's because that's.
So
what I
when it
was trying
comes
to read.
here,
Yeah,
it's recommended
Yes.
for approval.
by the committee, yes.
got it. That's my question. 'cause
And
it
what
just
is
wasn't
this?
clear.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
What does this teacher teach?
He
Is it
teaches Spanish and math.
Spanish and math.
Mhm.
And so he wants to go visit all these Spanish countries so that he can understand where students are coming from.
Yeah, the intention was to, he said the intention would be to help retain diverse staff him being a diverse staff member. And then to learn more about the students who come to the country from outside of the United States, and then to learn about Latino students in general.
Does this teacher come from Latin country?
I'm not familiar with his
Can
background.
I say something? One of the things that's really important to know when teaching students that are coming from other countries is the way that the educational system also works in those countries. And so if he's going there, there will be other, he will be learning about the different structures, the way that people are learning, all of the different issues that are happening. One of the CSBA trainings that I took this week was about trauma induced education. And one of those recommendations was to learn about the students in different countries and what types of issues they have there to then be able to better teach them when they come here. And so that is not like in hearing this, it made me, connect those two and think about how that would be helpful. And so I think that can be one of the things that could help that particular teacher.
Mr. Greg.
Yes, go ahead.
One thing I will say, this is a well-written proposal, and he cites the LCAP and our goals
Right.
in the
Yeah.
LCAP,
Mhm.
and goes down, because if you really look at the goals that as they pertain to the district, I think one was recruiting and retaining teachers of color. I've lost my place where
That's right. That's right.
that I got to get back to the and helping have relevant curriculum, I think, was another one of those points. And there was a third point, and the bridge program.
Yep.
And so I mean that's why I say the things were very relevant and would benefit the district. It's just that they're very, they're global challenges in terms of issues, and certainly not that they're not worthy of an undertaking, but I would, like I say, the report will tell us what kind of improvements and come out of it.
Oh, sorry, can I just clarify? I said trauma induced, I meant trauma informed, not induced. Sorry.
Got it. I'm going to take a little turn because what you just said in the section that you just were reading from is where I've been on sabbatical committees before, and I don't think I've approved more than one from the time that I've been in different districts. And one of the things that stood out for me was, how do we make a connection of the previous schools? And he actually brings that out. And if that's part of what he's doing as part of the research, I think that's very valid, because like what Lihie was talking about, if there's a definite connection to where these students came from, the schools and experiences that they've had, that is a definite, important, relevant connection. So this is a hard decision for me because I'm really in between here, but I know where I'm going to go. I think I'm going to approve the sabbatical. That's what I'm thinking.
It just makes me think of my family, and it makes me think about my parents when they came to this country. My mom, her family has a lot of high education from Guatemala, and when I was going through school, it was really difficult for her to understand certain curriculum that we were learning. And it was hard for me to understand why she didn't get it. And I didn't know, because I didn't know the structures that were being taught in Guatemala. Like some of the concepts are taught at an earlier age. And so it was just really interesting that I wish that I would have known those things and then understood why, there was that questioning of certain types of education. And then with friends of ours that had, like my cousins, when they immigrated here, the way that they learned the information was really different too. And that all spoke to how their educational structures were in Guatemala. So it just reminds me of those like really direct, like human issues that are coming.
Okay,
I was gonna say that because
ahead.
of what Bob said, that reminded me about that part that I previously read. It is well written, links back, the purpose and the goal, linking back to the LCAP. I think this was well written and with the purpose. And the intent.
Yeah, part of the the recommending committee is to make sure that the proposal is in line with the district goals or LCAP now that we call it the LCAP. Yeah.
So I have one more question before hopefully we vote on this issue any minute now. What has happened with sabbaticals? Because we had to cite the Dark Ages as the last time we had really had
Dark
people,
ages.
the ancient times when we had people actually interested in this. Is that a trend in education, or does it have to do with the demographics of our teachers, or what might have caused that?
Well, citing the Dark Ages, you recall, well, we had pretty strong financial problems in the late 2000s. And in 2007, we actually agreed in a mediation process with the unit to suspend sabbaticals. And that was partly because of the, this district went through a financial struggle in 05, 06, and that was in 07. Yeah, you remember. And then we suspended it, and then came the other crisis in 2008. And, that was, we experienced it a few years later. And it just never, we never got the committee together, and there wasn't ever any proposals ever since 2005, since we suspended it in 2007. And it's kind of been a forgotten aspect maybe of the agreement, but there wasn't any reason outside of that, the suspension, and then we just never received one.
Okay.
I'm going to take a turn. I also think that one of the things that is very obvious from COVID is teacher burnout. And maybe we might see a resurgence in asks and requests for sabbaticals, because there's a very real, I'm done, I'm tired, this is hard, I need a break, and that might happen. And if done correctly, I think we should support a sabbatical, but correctly and with depth and meaning, I think it's important. So that's kind of where I'm at. Anyone? Motion, thoughts? Okay.
One last thing. I just wanted to say that it really speaks to the investment that some of our teachers have, wanting to do something like this. It's more in depth. I mean, they're going to be leaving their whole life and to do this, to spend time in another country to really understand and immerse themselves. So, I really appreciate that.
It's a good point. I'm entertaining a motion.
I move.
Okay, you move approval of the sabbatical. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a motion made by trustee Andrade Zuniga, seconded by trustee Griffin. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried for the sabbatical.
I'll just say that in my mind, every sabbatical request will have to stand on its own. And El Presidente here, he kept putting things out between the lines and, well thought out, well organized, and his own questions or concerns. So I'm going to have to go prod him.
I got you. I'm with you. I'm with you. You read between my lines. Okay, next agenda item number 3, MOU for sixth section for Mr. Perotti.
Yes, the collective bargaining agreement limits the district to having just 2 teachers teaching 6 periods at any one site. This would be the 3rd teacher at Hillsdale to teach a 6/5 schedule, meaning 6 classes instead of 5. And the need arose because of our change in the athletic director from 0.4 to full-time. And that's why we're asking for this now from the union, and they agreed to it. So we're seeking approval.
I'll make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
I made a motion.
you made a motion. Trustee Griffin made the motion.
Second
And
that.
trustee Chavez, second. Does his wife approve? Because I worked with his wife for many years.
Oh.
I was her principal. So anyway,
She'll approve the money.
yeah, I know, exactly.
I know, right?
All right, there's a motion in a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried 5-0. All right, miscellaneous salary updates.
There was an error on the last miscellaneous salary schedule for 6 of the rates. This one corrects it.
And
Okay.
since the salary schedule, we ask for your approval.
All right, a motion.
Move adoption.
Okay. Motion by trustee Griffin, second.
I'll second it.
Trustee Chavez, seconded by trustee Chavez. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried 5-0. Go for healthcare athletic trainer substitute contract.
Yes, this is a contract. We have one of our athletic trainers on a health leave. And the athletic trainer will probably be out for the remainder of this year, maybe longer. So we needed to recruit an athletic trainer and they're not easy to come by. There's a shortage in the field. The ones that are there, they have a choosing of the jobs to pick it, to
Bless
choose a temporary job is a tough ask. But there are organizations out there that have athletic trainers on full time that they farm out or contract out. And that's what Go for Healthcare is. And we're hoping to get approval for a contract for $98 an hour for the next 12 weeks.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Jacobson, second.
Second.
Second by trustee Andrade Zuniga. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried 5-0.
Thank you.
Last but not least,
Wow.
board operations, review and discuss the specific board policies and admin regulations. Any big stuff or is it all?
It's all by law. I
Yeah,
think everything.
It's all CSBA, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions, thoughts? Should we just put it on consent for next? Is this the first reading?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, let's move it on to next consent agenda. All right, any requested board items? Going once, going twice.
Actually, I guess so.
Okay,
Hold on, I have
I
some.
don't want to close anybody out. We're still ahead of time, so we're doing good.
I know, right? I'm like shell shocked.
I know.
I wasn't prepared.
We're
to
like,
be
we're done.
let's see. I guess just the stuff that we had talked about last meeting.
In fact, can I add to that?
Yeah,
One of the things that we did historically was we used to put in board requested items, things that got done and didn't get done, or things that are coming up. I think it'd be great to have that list back.
mhm, to remind us.
So we can remind ourselves what we've requested and what we haven't requested. I know we requested something about the student board changes and what that was going to look like. And where we are with that. I think was there anything else?
The program that Ms. Lauderdale and Mr.
ETA
I
at
never
Hillsdale,
remember
right?
it.
ETA, right?
Yeah, I don't remember the acronym.
Kind of
number,
report
so
on that. Okay,
And if we could have a conversation with Nancy McGee,
oh, gateway update.
Gateway update. Mm-hmm.
We'd like to have the county superintendent come and talk with us about gateway and what their plans are.
And maybe there's the conference the big Latinx conference for the students. I don't know if somebody can come and give us information, or maybe like if there are students from our district that join, or that are part of the planning committee. I don't know.
Is this
but-
Oye?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oye.
Mhm.
And where is it? Where's it being held?
Kenyatta.
Kenyatta,
Mhm.
where the equity dinner is.
And it's also where the Mills game is tonight. That started an hour and a half ago.
Well, if we
No,
have no
sorry,
other things to go, we can
No, it's not there, actually. Where is it, Randall?
Oh.
Mission, so, sorry.
Mission College.
Sorry,
not-
sorry, I misspoke.
Mission, that's got to be a distance. All right,
Oh, can we still talk?
board requested items, yes.
Great. Thank you. I wanted to learn more about the student advisory committees. In the CSBA conference in San Diego, I attended a lot of classes that were centered on listening to our student voices and empowering the students. So I don't know how many student advisory committees we have, if there's one for each high school, how many students typically attend that? Is it once a month? Is it once a quarter? Can a board member attend, listen? What kind of feedback do we hear from the students there? What is done as a result of the feedback?
Well,
Uh,
one of the things that Leahie and I were just talking about was the representation changes and we wanted an update.
Right, at the
So
board meeting. So I
we
was
can
wondering-
include that.
Oh,
Yeah, because
okay.
we have,
part of that.
yeah, that's.
I
part
thought
of
it was
that,
different,
uh-huh.
but it's,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
blending it together with the
Right.
student.
Yeah.
student,
Mhm.
Advisory committees,
Right.
right? Okay.
Okay, perfect. All right,
Yes.
that's it.
Thank you.
We are adjourned. Motion ended.